Us on the link, the breeze 93.9. Good morning, Admiral.
Good morning. How are you today?
We're doing pretty good. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So how have you been?
Uh, Busy as usual. Just trying to keep it steady and on course here. It's interesting times is the best way to say it, I guess.
Right. And I'm so appreciative. We are so appreciative that you check in and with us, and whenever we ask if you could come on. So thank you. I did want to follow up on and maybe just get some sort of a progress report on how things have been going with DoDEA.
Oh, sure. Thanks for asking. So, as we discussed last time, as we were getting ready, or we had just opened the DoDEA schools, we talked about being in that band of 20 to 30 DoD-affiliated COVID cases on a daily basis, active cases. We're still sitting in that band. In fact, our active duty numbers are very low. Really, it's retirees, dependents, veterans that we also track that go into that 20 to 30 number. So I think today we're at 30. With respect to DoDEA, it's been going well, and we're cautiously optimistic that it's going to continue to go well. The students are very much complying with the mitigation measures that the schools have set up. We are screening those children that show up, with your standard little kid gets a sniffle or has got a cough, screening them, sending them out, and to date, I think we're in double digits of kids that have been tested with 0 COVID positives out of those children. So, we're doing well, but we're also, one slip up away from having to put in some restrictions on whether it's a school bus, a classroom, a wing, a school. So, again, cautiously optimistic, but it seems to be going well.
Mm-hmm. What about, I guess, the staff? How are they doing? Have any of them, the teachers, anybody tested positive, or?
No staff members, to my knowledge, and believe me, that would be a phone call from the superintendent here as well as the base installation commanding officers. So nobody that I know of. That doesn't mean it's not going to happen tomorrow or the next day, but we're watching that very closely. And we would run through the same protocols, whether it was a student or a teacher, in terms of shutting things down. In terms of morale, I'm going to answer a question that I know you haven't asked, but in terms of morale, I've heard, both sides of the morale kind of argument. A lot of teachers and parents that I've talked to are very thankful that we're back to in-classroom learning. And then there are some that are concerned, and rightly so, that like I am, that we're one mess up away from somebody getting sick. So we're working hard to keep those kids in the schools.
But you guys are also still doing online learning as well? Like some students are face-to-face and some are...
Yes. So the program that was set up by DoDEA was prior to the school year starting, and this isn't just here in Guam, you were able to opt into a virtual learning environment where the entire semester would be in a virtual manner. And then at the semester point, you can opt back out of that and go into classroom learning. So then DoDEA scaled how many teachers it would need for in-classroom learning based on how many went to this virtual enclave. So that has helped in terms of limiting class sizes.
Yeah, I know that we've had John Fernandez on, the superintendent of the Guam Department of Education, and I know they're kind of watching how things are going with DoDEA as they plan to return to face-to-face if the numbers continue to go down by January. So,
That's good.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'm glad that they're looking at us, and we're happy to share data and best practices and frankly places where we've made mistakes with DOE and DPHSS. At the end of the day, I hope everybody realizes that this can't be a zero tolerance mentality when it comes to these schools, just like we can't have a zero-tolerance mentality on our ships concerning COVID. We know that when you put big groups of people together, despite your best efforts, you may get a positive in there, and then you just got to fight through it, and don't give up the ship. Keep getting after it every day.
The other big issue that's been occurring, and I didn't get to send this over to Lieutenant Commander Moore, was the construction industry and the governor's and public health's directive to cease all construction. And we know that Black Construction has multiple military construction projects on base, and then we have a Cortec that also had a cluster with their workers. What sort of an impact has it had on military construction projects on base?
So, with respect to both of those, thankfully, the companies are doing the right things and being good partners here on Guam, and shutting themselves down and quarantining their folks and inviting DPHSS into their camps and working with the government here in the military to, one, isolate and contain the problem, and then two, run people through a recovery path so we can get them back to work. While it is impactful in some manner, meaning you end up losing maybe a little bit of your schedule with respect to when a project's going to be done, it is more important to me and to the governor and to all our military leaders out here that we keep those folks healthy, that we keep our base folks healthy, and we don't make this problem worse. So I think it was the right thing to do by DPHSS. We're in full coordination and support of their efforts with respect to the construction community.
What about COVID fatigue? And maybe you could talk about that. I mean, we've all been going through it, and what are your thoughts on it and what's happening on base?
That's a great question, and thank you for asking that, because it is real. You heard me allude to it earlier about this don't give up the ship mentality. If I may get on a little bit of a soapbox here, that don't give up the ship, which is a phrase for not giving up the fight, comes from the War of 1812, and Commodore Oliver Hazard Perry put it on a flag above his ship to motivate his squadron to continue to fight, even when it looks bleakest, even when you're tired and it's not going well. You got to keep trying. And so I sent out a message to the team just the other day on social media, and I'll do a PSA later today on this concept of not giving into the fatigue. And in any fight, in any conflict, you can't just give up. If you give up, you lose. And if we give up the fight here, if we get complacent, if we just say, to heck with it, I'm not going to comply with these mitigation measures, I'm just tired of it, we're going to lose. We're going to lose as a community. And it just takes one person being negligent, not caring about their neighbor, not caring about the mission to take down, a school, a business, a neighborhood, a ship, a squadron. So we all got to keep fighting. And I know that's tough to say, and to be frank with you, I'm tired of it too. We're all tired of it. I get it. It's mentally draining, but we can't give up the ship. We got to keep fighting this.
Exactly. Another issue. What does the Department of Defense do when you guys are made aware that personnel are suspected of violating the health protection conditions or even P Corps guidance?
So there's actually, we fall under two systems here. The first is the Uniform Code of Military Justice. That's the military legal system. So if you violate a lawful order, you're subject to investigation and potential being held accountable under the Uniform Code of Military Justice. We're also especially if you live off base, subject to local ordinances. So if you violate the governor's P-Core 1 or public health emergency declarations, the rules and the laws and executive orders that go along with it, you're subject to Guam law. And so when we get an instance of somebody violating those laws, whether it's on or off base, those rules, we investigate. And I can only really investigate if I have, some sort of evidence. Like, I can't investigate that this guy had short hair and he wasn't wearing his mask, but I can investigate if I get a name. So we work with the local government, Guam Police Department, Department of Public Health, trying to understand what happened, and if we have any evidence that it's a service member, we refer that evidence to their command for investigation, and then potentially they'll be held accountable. And those accountability things can be anything from, a letter of reprimand kind of thing to actual loss of rank, loss of pay, restriction of movement and liberty, which can really significantly affect people's careers. We take this extremely seriously, and starting with Theodore Roosevelt, when they were here back in March, through just a few days ago, when we become aware of these things, we initiate those investigations and then get after it, and then try and track the resolution of that investigation.
Have any of the investigations, has there been any resolution, or can you tell us how many, investigations you guys have done?
And that's a great question that we always get asked, but out of respect for the process and the individuals, I won't talk about, specifics of the investigations or the resolutions, but I will tell you in full confidence and truthfulness that people have been held accountable for things that have made it into the media, as well as things that haven't made it into the media that we know about and that we've talked with the government and taken care of business.
All right. Chris has a question.
Oh, yeah, Admiral, I just wanted to ask about the public comment period, just if you had any comment on that for the PA.
Yeah, for the PA. Yeah. So we've worked very closely over a very long period of time with the SHPO on that PA. That public comment period's opened. We think we've got a good document and a good agreement with GovGuam in draft form at this point. But, we're all humans. None of us is perfect. And so we will take any and all comments and look at them. And if they're actionable, if they make the document better for both Guam and the military, they'll be incorporated in some manner. Sometimes there's just stuff in there that, people vent through the public comment period that we really can't do anything with. But we read them all, and we make sure that we adjudicate them all appropriately.
Yeah. The governor had spoke to the Rotary Club yesterday. I don't know if you got to see that, Admiral, but she talked about what she said was the best decision that she made about housing the Roosevelt sailors. And then she had said that because of that, we are going to see some excess land return. And I think what she had said was they're going to continue to kind of milk that. And she talked about other things that we received in terms of assistance for the federal and DoD assistance for the pandemic. Just if we could get your comments on the governor's comments, and then if there's anything else that's coming down from your side in terms of assistance or any kind of, God, I don't want to use the term payback, but, the governor said milking it, so I feel like that kind of opens the conversation a little. But, yeah, if you could just tell us what's coming down from DoD and your comments on the governor's talk.
So I'd rather not comment on her comments, but if I could give you some thoughts on actually this whole process and situation since March. So when I first came into command here, and again as a multi-time resident here on Guam, my intent, as I stated early on, was to do what's right both inside and outside the bases. It's one community out here, depending whether you wear a uniform or not. And So we're going to do what's right, and that's the intent. Right may be different from where you sit, but we're going to try and do what's right for everybody as best we can. And so when Theodore Roosevelt happened, and I remember the day after they pulled in talking to the governor, and her words to me were, "This is the humane thing to do. You know, we need to do this. The people that defend us, we need to help them." When she said those words to me, it solidified in my mind that there is this sense of back and forth where we help each other. And then in terms of advocating for resources or help during COVID or new mission sets out here or excess lands, what the hosting of the Theodore Roosevelt Sailors did was put on full display to the world the hospitality, the humanity, the friendliness of the people of Guam to the U.S. military. And everybody saw that. So in terms of making my job easier, that action definitely helps open doors, helps again put on display the patriotism and the caring that we see out here. So I don't have to really comment on that, when I'm talking about whether we keep a field hospital here, get masks, advocate for new weapon system. People understand how helpful Guam has been to the military. I hope that answers your question.
Well, thank you, Admiral Menoni, for always being accessible and coming on our show. I just wanted to just wrap it with any message you had. Thanksgiving is next week.
Well, first off, happy holidays, whether it's Thanksgiving, Christmas. Hopefully we'll get to talk before then again to everybody here on the island and in the Marianas Islands. Best wishes. I hope everybody stays safe. My message to anybody who's listening is please don't give up. Don't give in to the fatigue. Don't give in to the dangerous narrative about the mitigation measures. Keep fighting through this thing. Let's protect each other so that we can have a very healthy and happy 2021.
Thank you.
Thank you, Admiral. Oh, okay. It's 9:34. We'll take a quick break. And you guys ready? We're going Payless. We're going Payless. We're having the big wine cellar sale, so we're actually going to pop a bottle open here. I don't know what kind of show this is turning into, but yesterday